is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. The passage this week is from the Gospel of Saint Matthew, chapter 5. I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. The easiest explanation for these words is that they were spoken in criticism of the scribes and Pharisees, particularly since Jesus was often verbally attacked by them and stood up to them fearlessly. However, it wouldn't have been much of a challenge to the disciples who aspired to spiritual perfection to tell them, don't be like those who lack any such aspiration. Jesus, in fact, says only a few verses later, be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. What Jesus was referring to here then was the self-righteousness of the priests. Don't seek perfection, he was saying to his disciples, in the image you project toward others. Don't be satisfied with a goodness born merely of ego definitions. The highest virtue is to transcend the very thought of personal virtue into the realization of God alone as the doer. Before this realization, even the thought, I am kind or I am truthful, is self-limiting. As it says in the Bhagavad Gita in the 7th chapter, yet hard the wise Mahatma is to find, that man who saith, all is Vasudev. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Happy Sunday again. So seeing that today is the day, the weekend of Swamiji's Moksha, we invited him to give the speech today. And the speech that we will listen to today is his last satsang, maybe 3-4 weeks before he left his body. Where's Sahaja? How can I say some words that I don't know in Italian? How to keep your heart open. You need to get out of your heart any other desire, because desires close the heart to God. You need to love. We need to love and have only the love for God in our hearts. That is not easy. We need to be honest with ourselves too, because some certain desires remain in our hearts necessarily as men and women. And in order to love, we need to understand and that's why I wanted Sahaja to be here, but maybe you can tell me what's the word for bonfire. Falò is the Italian word for bonfire. I'm deaf, I can't hear. So anyway, a fire in which we need to throw any desire every night. It is a good practice to try to find in your heart and throw any desire into the fire. I did that for years and it helped me so much. And now I can say that there is no desire in my heart except for God. But it has been a long battle and it is not easy. God will give you many challenges and tests. and many escape. Is that true, right word in Italian? So I haven't spoken Italian for a long time, for many months, and I forgot a little of my Italian. So Jesus has said, many are being called and few are chosen. God chooses those who want only Him. And truly, there are only two things necessary in order to find God. One is devotion for Him, complete love for Him, and the other is stopping with any little piece of ego that remains in you. So when someone, for example, let's say, insults you, you say, thank you. Don't fight, because this person is doing you a good thing. He reminds you that you still have a sense of defending yourself, but instead say thank you. Yes, maybe this is true. And if someone tries to hurt you, say thank you. The greatest thing on the spiritual path, on the path towards God, is to let go of this sense of I am separated from you, that I am separated from God. I am a man, I'm a particular man, a special man in this world. Maybe it's true, yes, but it's also not true. It's true in this only sense that everyone, any one of us, has a certain individuality that we will never lose. You can also see this in the lives of great avatars that are already free in God, and they come on earth. Each one has a special, a particular personality, like a mask that he carries life after life. For example, Yogananda told us that he was William the Conqueror, and when I heard that for the first time, I thought, oh, Mamma Mia, but I was born in the English system, and I always thought that William the Conqueror was the greatest warman of life, so that on earth. So that would have been my guru, and so. But I have seen that he was a great saint, and as saints, they always need to protect their own humility and goodness, and avatars often come to destroy the bad, as it is the evil, as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita. When I incarnate as an avatar, I come to destroy the evil and to bring virtue and goodness. So here, the role of the life of an avatar, sometimes it can be very strong. William the Conqueror, for 4 centuries after his death, they disburied him and found that his body had not changed. And this happens only for great saints. He was, in fact, his only friends were saints, and it was completely in a time when men were not truthful to their wives. And he was completely faithful to his wife. He was, in fact, a great man, but he had a duty, a very important job to do, to change Europe, because Europe was all together and it was difficult to change the influence of so many different countries. England, part of Europe, was also under the Scandinavian paganism, and he came to free England And with this power, he could keep the value. So he created many monasteries, and his message was a strong message, but very important for the well-being of the whole world. So the same as Yogananda, he said he has also been Arjuna in a different life. Arjuna was a warrior too. He was also a great master. It was during the war, the battle of Kurukshetra. And this Jesus, many say, Jesus, can you he was a good man, but can you see how he treated the people in the temple who were changing money? He was very strong when he talked to the Pharisees. He said, "You are the sons of the devil." And he was a very strong man. That's why they crucified him. All great masters as Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, they have been very strong. But I lived with Yogananda. There were some who were afraid of him. I have seen in him such a dear face, so filled with love, with forgiveness. There was no sense at all of ego. He was a great, great master. And I have been so fortunate that I could have been his direct disciple. I remember once I was sitting at his feet when he was dictating his commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita, and I was thinking, what an honor, what a grace to be his disciple. And half an hour later, after that, he asked me to help him and come to him, and he looked at me very close and he said, "It's only a wave of the ocean." He wouldn't keep anything for himself. He said, "I have killed Yogananda many lives ago. No one lives in this temple but God." So in fact, you have to understand that God is not there. He's inside of you, as Jesus said. What this means, that you have to become God. It is your destiny. Your destiny is to realize that He has dreamt you in order to become this body, that body, all these bodies, all the little insects. He has become all of this. He has become this world. It's all a dream of God. And in this dream, the soul of each one needs to grow and grow until it becomes a man or woman after thousands, maybe millions of lifetimes. We begin to think, maybe there's more in life. I want to be happy, but I don't find true happiness. Where is true joy? And then we start to understand, as Jesus says, if you give, you are blessed. You are more blessed to give than to receive. And we start to understand that the less we have a sense of separation from each one another, the more we can enclose everything in love. I have had a dream in Florence years ago when I saw a crowd of people, and I saw that even the worst of a mafia boss or something, all of these people, they were all seeking one thing: joy, bliss, because God is perfect bliss, and we are made from Him. We want that perfection. So when we start to understand this, and we start understanding this, and we need many lifetimes. A disciple once said to Yogananda, I don't think I have good karma, and Yogananda answered with a lot of strength, remember this, you need to have very, very, very good karma only to want God. And I think I can say this to all of you too, because otherwise, why would you be here? Look at the people in the streets. They don't have this. They think, what can I get from myself? What can I take? What can I have for me? The problem of today and the cause of depression is greed, to wanting instead of giving. So we need to understand that in this dream, I have seen the reason for we need to love everyone. When I look at people on the streets now, I look at them with love, because each one is only looking for the same thing that I'm seeking too. Maybe he's wrong or not seeking in the right direction, but we all seek joy and bliss, even if we don't know it. In the end, each one is destined to find God and to emerge in Him and find out that we, like Jesus, like Buddha, like Krishna, like Yogananda, you are one with God. You are God. We cannot say it differently. You are God. So why not working on realizing this great destiny that we all have, each one of us, each soul has been dreamt by God, and we need to get back and unite with Him. When the Pharisees criticized Jesus, saying that he was one with God, he answered, but don't your scriptures say you are God? You are not human, but for the fact that you are seeking little things, little money, sex, and so on, you remain human. It is not necessarily like this. Love God. Once there was a man who came with a long list of questions to Yogananda, and he asked the first question, very intellectual question, and Yogananda answered, love God. And then the second question, the answer was, love God. Third question, love God. And then he left. The love for God is the answer. I know, because I've passed a period of very strong doubts. I didn't want this, and I hated feeling these doubts, but it was my karma, and for the fact that I had doubts in other lifetimes, I have been blessed in this life to understand and love others. That's why I can teach well, because I know these doubts. I have been through them myself, and I have understood that the answer to every doubt is not an intellectual explanation, but loving God. And when you feel this love in your heart, here inside, then it has significance, meaning. And I remember another dream that I've had. Enemies of mine have put myself into a fire, and this was a dream only, but I've seen these people celebrating, and I was just indifferent in this fire, and I thought, this pain doesn't matter. And then friends of mine saved me from this fire, and I was indifferent to this too. And coming to this point where you are indifferent to pain, and that life will give you to pain and sorrow if you are indifferent. Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, get out of the sea of suffering and misery. And that's how life is. And when Yogananda many times, I don't want to threaten to make you be afraid, but the more you want God, the more He will send you tests. Yogananda said, living for God is martyrdom. And in order, but it is worth it. It is really worth it, because this life, this earth, is an even greater martyrdom. So when you can see that God is only spirit, and everything that happens is karma, and once God has manifested His creation, He had to create the principle of duality. And for every good there is evil, for every thing above there is beneath, for every beauty there's something ugly, for every success there is a failure. And that is the truth. This universe, we cannot have this universe without this principle of duality. So people think, yes, okay, I'm suffering, but there's also some pleasures. And people think, and oh, maybe I will have success again after, or a pleasure again. Yes, it will be like that, but it won't last. The only success that will fulfill you will only happen within you. It won't happen in the exterior world. So love God. It is the only message that I can give you, an important message. I only have a few not so important messages with you to share. So I have become a little old. I will be 87 in May, and when I traveled in plane from Calcutta to Mumbai, I lost my hearing in this ear, which used to be the good one. So the other one wasn't so good even before. So I was deaf for a time. Now I can hear a little better. But in India, I have visited many cities. I have given many speeches. In Chennai, there were 3,000 people who attended, and 1,000 had to stay out because there wasn't enough room. And I felt great enthusiasm there, and I'm very happy for Master about this, because I believe that his message has great importance in this new era of energy, and that's why I dedicated my life to it. I lost my balance. I always had to have someone close to me. I couldn't even walk with a stick. I don't know why, but it wouldn't help. So I always need someone next to me to walk, and so I have some little difficulties with my body, but I need to tell you that it is worth it. Why? Why? It is worth it because I don't desire anything. I am satisfied with this life. A prophecy in India said that I need to live until 91 years old. I hope not, but if I have to, okay. I have written I have made a film, and it's a film that you will see in April, and it moved me to tears. It is so beautiful. There's put together music they still need to do some work on this film. It's not ready yet, but it's about Ananda, and it shows a way of living that I sincerely think will change the world. Yogananda said the future of the world will be this. They will see the beauty of living together with other people who are in tune with you, instead of living in the cities where there's criminality and other things. So living together in small groups that can grow their own food. It is a beautiful film. And then another film was made about my life, about my research, my search for God. And it was very interesting because I have passed through many illusions of this era. I wanted to become a scientist first, an astronomer, and I realized in the end, oh, this is not gonna work, because it doesn't include the heart. And I tried with my intellect, but it didn't touch me. Then I thought, this was at 13 years old, when I was 13 years. And when I was 14, I thought, maybe I should get into politics. And I thought maybe I should become a communist. But then I understood that even the political systems cannot make you a better person. You need to make yourself a better person. No system can change you. And then I thought about art, and I used to play the pianoforte, the piano, and so I thought, oh, maybe I can become a musician and a singing teacher. My singing teacher told me, I live only because I want to see you become a great singer, but I've never become it. I thought, I want the truth. I don't want to become famous for music. There's no meaning in it. And then I thought to become a playwright. And I had a certain talent for that. And so I was a writer, I'm sure, in other lifetimes, because I remember when I was 7 years old, my parents criticized something that I had written, because I said, and this, and this, and this, and you know how children talk. And so I knew that they were right about my criticizing my writing. But in my subconscious, I thought, but who are they to tell me how to write? Because I have been a writer before. And finally, I understood I want to be a writer to help others to know the truth. I don't know truth, so how can I, so why should I bring my ignorance into this world? So then I also let go of playwriting. And I started looking for God, but what the church told me about God didn't make sense to me. But one night, I remember, I went for a long walk, and I thought, if there is a God, I thought, I am conscious, so he must be consciousness. He must have consciousness. So it is my duty to open up to this consciousness. And I felt that the clearer I was in my mind, the more I could understand. The less clear I was in my mind, for example, when I drank alcohol, the less clear I was. So I decided in that very same night that my duty in life would be to search for God. And I didn't know anything about the life of saints. And I thought, maybe I'm going crazy here. And I said, even if I'm going crazy, I need to search for God. And so I thought to go into a jungle in Brazil to search for God. I thought finding God would bring me mental peace at least. And then God has taken direction for this, because he sent my dad to Egypt, and the day I put my mother on the ship to follow my father, I went into a bookshop and I found the autobiography of a yogi. I had no idea until then about philosophy of yoga. I thought maybe it's a type of yogurt. But reading the autobiography, I have received everything. If my parents had been here and I was only 22 years old, I think they would have inhibited my search. But I was free and I took the first bus traveling through the American continent from one side to the other. I arrived at Yogananda and my first words were, I want to be your disciple. And I have been his disciple since then, since 1948. And now I have been his disciples for 65 years. And I must say that it is worth it. And I tell all of you, it is worth it. Why lose your life for little things? What do we get from success, from fame, from sex? Nothing, nothing. Search for God. And I can tell you, after 65 years, I have found a lot of what I have been looking for. I have found bliss. I am always happy. I have found love. I love all. Have I found God? I don't know. I cannot tell. But I know that what I found is a lot, but God will be much more. So I can say from my experience that yes, there are tests, enormous challenges. They have always destroyed me, but it has been worth it. It is worth it. Search for God. I'm very happy to be with you here, and I hope to see you all more. But at my age, it is not easy to do. I feel a little weak, but I'm very happy to see you all. And I see many old friends, but the real old man am I. God bless you all. Thank you, Swamiji. How beautiful to see his face, listen to his words, look into his eyes. He has told us a story about 4 women. The first woman says to the other 3, my son is a bishop, and when people meet him, they all say, Your Excellence, and the other women say, oh, Mamma Mia, that's nice. The second woman says, my son is a cardinal, and when people meet him, they say, Your Eminence, and the other woman, oh, nice, how beautiful. The third woman says, my son is the Pope, and when people meet him, they say, Your saintness. And the fourth one, poor thing, didn't know what to say anymore, and so she says, my son is very big and tall, and when people see him, they all say, oh my God. It's a story, but it's also the truth. we all need to become like the sun, big and transmitting God in all that we do. This is a joke, but it's also the joke of our lives. Everything finishes when we meet, have this meeting, and it's so beautiful. I remember once we were going to the airport of Bologna with Swami. He had to travel to Portugal, and it was a little late. We were running a little late, and I was going on the highway, and Swami says, "This car doesn't go any faster." I was driving 200 kilometers per hour, and so I say, "Swami, I'm at the highest of speed." And he says, "Very well, you need to travel at maximum speed." And then I understood that behind these words, maybe he was also talking about the car. We arrived in time at the airport, by the way. But what he was saying is we have little time at our disposal. Our life wants more velocity than just 200 kilometers per hour. And the message that Swami has just given us is don't wait to become old. You need to do the things now. You need to be quick. You need to clean out all the things that stand between us and God. And this is a beautiful thing and very important that we remember these words. Once I was giving a speech with Swami. I was having a speech with Swami, very deep, a little intellectual. And Swamiji stops. I had asked him a question. Swamiji stops, looks into my eyes, and says, "I love you." In that moment, all the intellect was gone. Everything was cleaned up, and I had to reset my mind. And the answer was, "Swami, I love you too." And we sat in silence. No more words. The consciousness was uplifted. It had gone above the mind to a level where there was no need to talk. And in that silence and that stillness, there is God. We were going to Lugano in airplane. Swamiji loved to go to Lugano in Switzerland. So we took the airplane from Perugia. And after we had taken off, the hostess came to offer us a little biscuit. And Swami in that time had high blood sugar, so he couldn't take any sugar. When he offered me the biscuit, I was sitting next to Swami, and I said, "No, thank you." And Swami took it. And he cut it in half and gave me the other half, and so we enjoyed this biscuit together very much. He wasn't very interested into his blood sugar, but he could read my mind and would said, "Oh, I kind of like to have this biscuit." And then we talked a little and we had fun because this airplane had all the description in German, and they were like very long German words, unpronounceable words. I'm sorry for all the Germans here. But so we were making fun a little bit of these words, and at a certain point Swami says, "This body is giving me a lot to do. I would sometimes I think I would like to leave. And in that moment I said, Swami, but if you leave, how will we do without you? Swami looks at me and says, I will work through you. And he's doing that. How can he work through us? We need to be in tune with him. We need to be in tune with Yogananda, with all of our masters. If we are in tune with them, we are in tune with Master. And then we can work as channels, as Swami wants. And that is a very important thing. He hasn't given up any day of his life. You have heard also in this video that he has had difficulties, but he has always connected himself to cosmic energy and given beautiful speeches. And behind his beautiful speech there was the magnetism of the masters of Yogananda, and this magnetism is also at our disposal. Swami has come, and we have 5 great masters and a great disciple. He has shown us how to live discipleship and how to be good disciples. Our life is very important as disciples. I want to tell you another story. One day Swami was here. The day that Swami was here on this table, we have seen the table in these days, and then the coffin arrived with Swami inside. And the day that they took him out of the temple, the coffin entered the corridor, and they closed the coffin in the corridor. And on top of the coffin was only written 19 May 1926, and beneath there was written 21 April 2013. And I say, how many things have you done? There was in this, there isn't enough written on this coffin, because between these 2 dates there's a whole life of Swami, and not only Swamiji's life, but all of our lives are written between these 2 dates. And so I started thinking about my life, but also about all our lives who have known Swami, who have lived with Swami. Each one of us would have filled this space with a little scripture filled with things, with experiences. And so I closed my eyes, and at that moment Swami's face appeared to me, who said, I love you. And so that little space was enough to contain these words, I love you, the essence. Between these dates, the space between these 2 dates is condensed in this message, I love you.